Ladies and gentlemen, there is a form of brain rot that has crept its way into the minds of fighting game players. And, when you think about what are the things that are degrading the scene the most, you might think of a few things depending on what type of person you are. You might be thinking, oh my God, fighting games are going so woke. There's not enough skimpy outfits. You might be thinking, oh my God, they're making games so easy and they're modernizing them. They're making it accessible and all that. I'm not here to talk about that at all. There's actually an even more severe type of brain rot that has crept its way into the scene, and it is eating it from the inside out. And that is this website. This website is Steamcharts. Now, at a base level, there's nothing wrong with Steamcharts as a website, right? There's nothing actually wrong with this site existing. All it's supposed to just give you data. It's supposed to just tell you who is playing whatever game on Steam at any given time. It gives you last 30-day numbers, it gives you their peak, it shows you how many people played yesterday. And there are some issues with this. There's some very, very, very big issues. Unfortunately, this tool, Steamcharts, has been used in a very negative and toxic way, and this continues to go on, and it continues to get worse as time goes on. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this and talk about why it's so fucking stupid. Okay, let's talk. So first, what's wrong with using Steamcharts? There's a lot of different issues to why you can't use this to designate whether a game is supposedly worth playing or not worth playing, right? But before I get into that, I want to show you guys how this started, right? Let's go to our friend Twitter, which everyone always has great things to say about Twitter, right? This is what I saw, right? So I originally saw this post that said, this one. Some of y'all owe DNF Duel an apology, and I'm not joking. Now, this is a harmless post, right? This is simply someone saying that DNF Duel did not get treated in a fair way, and they believe that people owe it an apology, right? There's nothing wrong with this, right? In and of itself. Now, you can agree or you can disagree, of course. Obviously, some people will like a game, some people will dislike a game. And if you know anything about the way that DNF Duel kind of existed or continues to exist in the fighting game scene, you will quickly realize, if you have a frontal lobe, that it was treated pretty unfairly, right? Regardless of whether you absolutely despise the game or you're someone that still plays it to this day, this game never really got a fair shot, right? It never really got a fair shot because of the way social media works, and it became trendy to dunk on the game and call it irredeemable dog shit, right? And people just kept dogpiling, and some of these people don't even play the game or never even have tried the game. It's just a cool thing to hate, and so they jumped on the hate train, right? So that's an important bit of context. That's why I think posts like this are pretty innocuous. This is I think they're just correct, right? I especially the people that didn't actually give the game a try before judging it, you're part of the problem, right? And if that goes for anyone that's watching this video, I'm sorry, you're part of the problem as well, right? You just shouldn't be participating in things like that. This is a big issue in fighting games, and I will touch on that a little bit more later. But he made this post, and of course it had to get quote tweeted because of course it's social media, it's Twitter. People are gonna have things to say about this. But this one is the one that I think was actually the dumbest of them all. This person quote tweets, and this isn't the first time I've seen something kind of silly said by this person. I don't know anything about them, what they play, what they contribute. I don't know anything about them, full disclosure. But this is not the first time I've seen a post like this from them. And they say sorry to 9 people, and what do? They go to Steamcharts. You can literally even see the logo there, and they show DNF Duel's player base numbers, right? They show us playing an hour ago, 18-hour peak and all-time peak, right? And this is supposed to be a dunk, right? This is supposed to be oh well, I'll apologize to 9 people because there's only 9 people playing the game. Well, that is disingenuous in and of itself, first of all. Second, this is really stupid. This is really stupid to do for any game for a lot of different reasons. The first reason being, and this should be the most obvious to all of you, fighting games are not primarily played on PC. For the most part. Most games that are being played are still primarily played on console, right? Because when you go to tournaments, if you ever go to an offline ever in your life, what are tournaments played on? they're playing on console, right? They're playing on console. So that in and of itself like makes this tool very, very deceiving, right, to a lot of people. And I think that it's worth talking about because it can actually be harmful if someone is like, oh yeah, I want to see what fighting game is actually worth playing, and they start typing things into Steamcharts and they say, oh, there's not that many people playing the game. They could be fooled because this doesn't show people that are playing on console, especially, and this is especially important for games that have crossplay. DNF Duel is not one of the games that has crossplay, but it is important to make note of that, right? It's very easy to be thrown off by Steamcharts because it doesn't give you the entire context. Next thing, right? Even outside of that, let's say we're talking about a game that doesn't have crossplay. And let's talk about a game that actually is mostly played on PC nowadays in DNF Duel. What is this really supposed to be saying? Are we trying to make the claim that because your game is not the largest, then that means it's not worth playing? Is this how we're going to validate all of our conversations and all of our arguments when we talk about fighting games? Are we all only allowed to play Street Fighter because it has the highest Steam chart numbers, and we're not allowed to play anything else because none of the numbers compare even closely? I think that's like pretty dumb in general. I think that's a pretty foolish argument to make. And I think it also takes out of the it takes all of the nuance out of certain game situations. Like, games can still have very, very fleshed out infrastructures, very healthy scenes, despite being small, right? And DNF Duel, it's not the biggest game in the world, but I would say it has a pretty healthy infrastructure, all things considered. You have at least 2 dedicated weeklies in Wumpa Warriors and Rollback Unblock. You also have Training Mode Network for beginners, which there's a lot of bigger games that don't even have beginner tournament series like that, right? And then you have Lobby Nights, which I believe is run by Coffee DNF, right? And so you have at least 4 like cornerstones where people, if you want to play the game, you have people around you that you can play the game with, and that's really what matters, right? And on top of that, you can stop being such a so scared of interacting with people, and yeah, you can still ask people for games. It might be hard to find matches on ranked, but like, there are definitely people playing. We had people show up and have a really good tournament yesterday, right? We just ran Wumpa Warriors, our 80th installment, by the way. Been running that since 2022, right? And so this does not tell the story of a scene by any means. Like, this is just a low effort dunk. Obviously, they're just taking the screenshot and they're like, oh, I own them so hard because their game is small. But I actually think that this does more harm than you think it does, because there are a lot of people that don't really think for themselves, and they will jump on this bandwagon. This has 7,000, almost 8,000 likes, right? And they might look at something like this and they might say like, oh, 8,000 people are saying that this isn't a game worth trying or worth playing or what, and so they're not going to, even though they might actually love the game if they try it. And this doesn't only apply to DNF, this applies to a bunch of other games as well. I'll show you another example, and this one is maybe even dumber, perhaps. This was a conversation where one of the biggest content creators, I think actually the biggest content creator for BlazBlue Central Fiction, CF, made a post about the game being on sale, right? And this is just a good thing to do. Like, I can't see like why anyone would ever view this as negative. You're just telling people, hey, I like this game. If you ever wanted to try this game, it's on sale. Why don't you try it now? I've been doing it for Granblue because it's 50% off, right? And every scene should be doing that. They should be pushing more people to pick up the game, especially when it's discounted, because, you know, price is a big preventative factor for a lot of people. Some people just are like, you know, I would like to try this game, but I don't have the money, or I can't justify that purchase right now, you know, because I don't know if I'm going to like it or not. And an overwhelming majority of fighting games don't have free to play models. And so, like, if you want to try a game, you have to buy it, right? And so 75% off, you know, he's saying, play the game, pick up the game, give it a try. And that's all good and this and that. Now, I will say the context that he did to do this was on a Strive post talking about the patch, which is generally pretty negative to do as well. Like, I'm not gonna gloss over this. The context in which you do this is also negative. I also think this is kind of bad to do. It's kind of bad to quote tweet a clip from a game with another game and say, yeah, just drop that game and play this instead. It's like, I don't think we should be I don't think we should like sell the idea to people that you can only pick one game and you have to commit to one game and you can't, like, you have to choose a side, right? I think that's very stupid. especially when fighting games are already so small. All we're doing is diminishing our own player bases by doing this. We're not experiencing growth as a matter of this. You're just shifting people around, right? And you're forcing them to, you're creating the idea that they have to choose a side. And there's a lot of negativity and a lot of like sometimes like violent arguments that happen because people believe that fighting games are like, hey, you know, they think it's like gang warfare. Like they think these players have to fight tooth and nail against each other to prove that their game is worth playing and the other one isn't. Doesn't make any sense, right? So that's negative. Oleander, I think you shouldn't do this. I get it. You don't get this opportunity very often, but I also, you know, I'm not a fan of that. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about this tweet where this person commented to a post that under normal circumstances would be pretty innocuous, just saying, hey, the game is on sale, pick it up. And they do the Steam chart thing again, right? They go to the Steam charts and they say, play BBCF, bitch, you first. Now, this is so stupid for a vast number of reasons. Like, especially considering who Oleander is. Oleander is someone that continuously puts out content for BlazBlue Central Fiction. They truly love this game and they push it so much, right? They do everything they can to make, to generate growth and get new people to try the game and this and that. They're fighting the good fight, right? They're doing exactly what they should be doing. They're doing everything in their power to just make sure more people enjoy the game that they enjoy. Love that, right? This doesn't make sense to say this to them because they are playing it very often. Even if you go to their channel, you'll see plenty of uploads. I don't know why you would even say that. It's because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You think it's funny, but you're actually you just look like an idiot, right? You just look like an idiot because like this is the expert on BBCF and playing BBCF. You don't know anything. Second, this is not even like low numbers for a fighting game considering how long BBCF has been out, right? Do you guys know when CF came out? Like, I think isn't it like going on? Actually, let me check for myself just to make sure I'm not spreading misinformation. BBCF release date 2015 it came out, right? It's been 9 years since BBCF came out. It still has 200 active players on a random whatever day this was. It was November 1st, so it was a random Friday afternoon, right? Still had over 200 people playing. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of games out there that wish they had this, right? And we should be grateful that we can get these types of numbers for a game this old in the first place. That's pretty difficult to do, right? Especially in modern day where there's so many fighting games to choose from. Pretty much every installment, BlazBlue is not one of those, but almost every franchise, every major fighting game franchise has a new installment, right? And so like, this is fantastic and they're doing great and their scene is doing fantastic. And everyone I've always talked to, any BBCF player that I've ever talked to, anytime I talk to them, they only have good things to say about the game. They truly are, they love their game and they're into it. And that's important, right? That's really important because that's what will create opportunities for you, because that's what it takes, right? From the outside looking in, if you look into a community and you see like, oh, these people still, they might not be the biggest community, but they still really, really love their game and they show up for it and they support it, whatever possible, then they get afforded opportunities that other games might not, even though they're bigger, because the community is that passionate. Case in point, right? Bring it back to the DNF Duel conversation, right? DNF Duel still gets supported by TNS. They just had a TNS like a week or two ago, right? Do you think that they would do this for a game that just didn't have a community? No one was playing it. No one wants to even look in its direction. No, of course not. Why? That wouldn't make any sense for them. No one would watch it on YouTube. No one would sign up. You would just look foolish, right? But TNS sees the value in the community that's still there despite what they have gone through, and they decide, hey, we're going to do something really cool for them, which is dope. And when they did it, damn near every DNF Duel player I know showed up, right? Now there's a ton that I don't know, obviously, but all the big names, like all the high level players, they showed up. There were like 2 missing, I think Taco was missing and Blue Linky's DQ'd. Other than that, pretty much all the big names that you see like that were winning DNF Duel tournaments showed up, which is cool, right? That means that they appreciate the opportunity and they will make sure that they're available for it because they don't get that every day, right? Okay, again, right? Let's think a little bigger. Maybe you think, oh, so what? TNS ran a tournament for it. What the fuck does that mean? That means nothing, right? Okay, what about this? What about Evo? What about the fact that it's a game on the Evo community lineup and you win Evo medals for winning in this game? How about that? Does that not validate? Is this not enough? You see, I'm like knocking down this idea that because a game is small means that it's not worth it. This is so like mindless. So mindless, and all you're doing is pushing very, very unhealthy rhetoric that does nothing but punch down and stifle the growth of people's scenes. And this is happening at all levels of fighting games right now, from the very, very small games to the huge games. This exists in some capacity where people will take every single opportunity to dunk and talk down on and paint it in a negative light. And you might think that it doesn't matter because, oh my god, I just made a fucking stupid comment on Twitter. Who the fuck's gonna read that? People read it. Shit like this, negativity especially, gets traction very quickly, and so like it can snowball out of control. And negativity in the fighting game community, it a lot of the time are the biggest posts, and so it ends up breaching into the mainstream a little bit. And so suddenly people that don't actually play fighting games are looking from the outside in, and they're like, oh well, everyone fucking hates this, I don't know why anyone will play that, right? Even though they never got the opportunity to try it and make that judgment for themselves. And people do this. They absolutely do. This happens every single day. And so I really wish that people would stop doing things like this. And at the heart of this all, like almost every single time that you see a super negative post that is talking shit on another fighting game, right? It's the heart of it, Steamcharts. Haha, Steamcharts, bro. Oh my god, you play Mortal Kombat? Let's see how many players it has on Steamcharts, bro. Let's see. Oh my god, only 1,500 people play a Mortal Kombat. Oh my god, this game is so dead, bro. Why would you even waste your time completely ignoring the fact that Mortal Kombat has a smaller player base on PC naturally because their ports are usually fucking dog shit, right? Overwhelming majority of people play Mortal Kombat on console. It still has great sales numbers. It still has a really big casual presence. They still are in dev cycle. They're releasing Ghostface soon. He might actually be out already. Forgive me if I misspeak there. I don't think he's out, but I think he's coming out soon, right? And so like your game's numbers on a Steam chart page does not dictate its worth. And if you're someone out there that's making your decision on what game to play based on this, please just lock this out of your mind. These types of posts are literally just inflammatory, and there's no nuance here, right? Like there's no value to be gleaned from people doing things like this. It just simply is meant to be harmful and meant to be negative. And the sooner we push this type of shit out of our conversations every day, the more we can start growing as the fighting game community as a whole. Then that's what we should be focusing on, not promoting this tribalism. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. You're saying I'm a Tekken player and fuck you because your Steam chart names are lower, your Steam chart numbers are lower, and so that means your game sucks and my game is good. No, bro, of course not. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. If that were the case, then we would all only be Street Fighter players, I think, right? In fact, if that were the case, then why are we even playing fighting games in the first place? Like, oh my god, Street Fighter 6, the biggest fighting game? Let's see how many players it has on Steam charts. Let's see here. Oh my god, 14,000 people, 30-day average. Oh my god, that's so dog shit, bro. Why don't you just play Counter-Strike 2 instead? Why don't you just play Counter-Strike 2 instead? It has more people playing it, right? Why would you ever bother playing a fighting game when you could play Counter-Strike that has 1 million players in a 24-hour peak? I don't know, bro. Why would you ever do that? Oh, maybe it's because there are different games for different styles of gamers. People want to play different things. They have different tastes. They have different wants. They have different needs, right? And we are able to we're blessed to be in this era where we can make that decision, right? We have so many fighting games. We can make that decision and choose what fighting game we want to play, right? We have that. A few years back, we didn't really have that. Not every new series had a new installment. Some games had bad netcode, right? You couldn't just play the game that you wanted to all the time. We live in an era now where mostly, yeah, you can actually just play the game that you want to, right? You get that gift of getting to choose what you want. And so people should be content with that. But for a lot of people, that's not enough. They not only have to choose their game, they have to shit on others. They have to push other communities down to try to lift their own up. And sometimes it's not even lifting theirs up. Some of these people that make these posts don't even like the game that they're campaigning for. It doesn't even make sense. Some of these people, I'm convinced, don't even like fighting games. They're just there for the trend. They're there for the clicks on social media. They're not there to promote the community at all. They're just there to be negative. And for what? Is that fulfilling? I really hope it is, because otherwise you're just wasting your time. But that's what I have to say on the topic. Feel free to let me know what you guys think. But this type of shit has to stop. I'm over it.